So, is there a difference between vagueness and ambiguity? In the interpretation of a statute, sometimes a statute might appear vague or the statutory language may appear ambiguous. Is there a legal distinction between the two? Some legal commentators and judges draw a distinction between a vague statute and an ambiguous statute, while others believe the two terms are synonymous, that both mean the statute lacks clarity. Should there even be a distinction drawn? I read Harvard Law School professors John Manning and Matthew Stevenson used the following explanation as a distinction between these two terms. They said ambiguity refers to situations in which a word or phrase can plausibly convey more than one specific meaning. That's ambiguity. They define vagueness as referring to language that is open-ended and requires judgment calls about borderline cases whose inclusion or exclusion cannot be determined by reference to semantic meaning. So, when interpreting a vague statute, a judge may recognize that the statute could be perhaps intentionally vague by using general terms, or those that may need further definition or refining, such as by an executive branch agency through rulemaking, while interpreting an ambiguous statute may require the judiciary to focus on other such as extrinsic aids to determine how that ambiguity should be defined. This issue often results in a court having to examine legislative history and intent to try and ascertain the meaning of an ambiguous or perhaps vague statute. I think ambiguity may be easier to ascertain the intent of the legislature, but for example, a statute could be what they call unconstitutionally vague and therefore would be void. That's basically a measure that cannot be interpreted, let alone be enforced. So I think in the end, the distinction between the two terms, vagueness versus ambiguity, could actually be an important one in statutory interpretation.